Introverts, how did you meet your girlfriend? She just made me her boyfriend one day and I don't really want a girlfriend and I'm too scared to end it. Blind date. That was 10 years ago. The guy who set us up dropped off the face of the earth before I ever had a chance to thank him. Put yourself around extroverts, one of them will adopt you sooner or later. That is some dangerous advice. After 4 years of no dating following a crushing breakup, a mutual friend called to my attention she was into me. I was oblivious. I didn't know her very well, but I was ready to try again. I wasn't even sure I was very attracted to her, but I figured it couldn't hurt to go out on a date with a nice girl. We hit it off. She's pretty shy, which is why she said she'd never had the courage to try to talk to me. In the course of the first date I'm slowly realizing she's amazing. Many years later, we have 2 kids and there's just a lot of love in our lives equals D. My husband is an introvert. I liked him all through high school. We were friends for 13 years. Finally, one day, I looked at him and said, how come we've never dated? We should date. He said okay. Got married in 2015. Had our baby in 2016. I told her, double quote, if I weren't so socially inept, I'd be trying to have a conversation with you. Married almost 9 years. Introvert BF, Tinder. His picture was him hanging upside down from a tree and his bio said, proof that nerds grow on trees. We both made it clear we were looking for a relationship. Met up the day we matched for coffee. Hit it off. And that was that. Introvert girl. I met my husband on Xbox Live, Halo 3, almost 10 years ago. Been married for 6 years now. I'm a female, but I am very introverted. I met my now husband at the gym. I would always work out with my brother and my now husband thought I was dating my brother because we were always at the gym together. When he asked my brother how long we had been dating, we both looked at each other and said, UHH. We're siblings so never. He asked my brother if we could all work out sometime and I went full on awkward when we did. He was showing me a new workout and he almost smashed my face in with a dumbbell. I walked off because I was so embarrassed and started working out alone. Then he asked me out to lunch and we hit it off. Edit. Reworded a sentence. She came over to me in a coffee shop while she was on vacation in my country to ask how to tip. We had a 2-hour conversation and then an amazing 5-hour lunch 2 days later. She complained about her hostel and I offered her my spare bedroom. She accepted. Nothing happened, although it seems crystal clear in retrospect that we were falling for each other. Duh. I didn't want to be douchey and make her feel uncomfortable under my roof. So putting the moves on her was not something I seriously considered. 2 nights later, I had to be gone for most of the night on a work assignment, and I asked if she would please watch and walk my dog in my absence. I came home at 5 a.m. and was greeted by my suddenly very soft, very fluffy dog. He had somehow understood. Will you please wash my dog? And apparently didn't find that a strange request at all. The next evening, after we'd been talking over a bottle of wine for hours, it seems she'd had enough of my apparent indecisiveness. Took the wine glass out of my hand, put it down, and leaned in for a kiss. That was 26 years ago. We've been married 23 years. Edit. Thanks so much for the gold. Kind stranger. On the Greyhound. During my time in the army I was stationed at FT Eustis, VA. On my way home, Denver, CO. At the time, for Christmas I saw her sitting across from and slightly behind me. Honestly, I didn't pay much attention to her at first. But my buddy, seated next to her, did. After getting shot down repeatedly for a day and a half, he finally got off the bus. Shortly thereafter she came over and sat next to me and we started talking. After that we got split up, put on different buses, and I kicked myself for not getting her number. Then, when the bus stopped in Street Louis There she was standing right there in the entrance. Almost like she was waiting for me. If my bus had arrived 15 minutes later, I'd have never seen her again. Then I found out the bus to Denver was delayed due to snow and wasn't going anywhere for at least 2 days. She hurried over to the ticket counter and had my ticket changed to Des Moines, Iowa, where she was going, so I wouldn't be trapped in St. Louis for 2 days. We spent the next 4 days getting to know each other. Then I continued home. We had a long distance relationship for about 6 months until I came home permanently, by which time she had moved to Denver and rented an apartment. We got married 3 years later and have been together 10 years total. We met in a science fiction class at college, and we absolutely hated each other. She thought I was an idiot and I thought she was a know-it-all btch. We argued. We squabbled. We one-upped. We are both super nerds. So it was a seemingly endless battle of esoteric knowledge about science fiction literature. At some point we got to arguing about Atlas Shrugged. I made several trenchant remarks about its lack of literary value, and she aggressively defended it. One thing led to another, and before I knew it we were watching The Empire Strikes Back and dating. We're engaged now. She still thinks I'm an idiot. I still think she's a btch. But we don't hate each other anymore. Eater. I proposed next to the Intrepid in Nick by the Star Trek exhibit with an Enterprise ring in a box that had a picture of Picard saying, "Engage." He was in the corner, drinking a bottle of water. I noticed him immediately and I noticed him noticing me for the better part of an hour. I finally just walked up to him after I figured he was too shy to approach me. We chatted for about 2 hours and then left. Later in school, we exchanged our AOL screen names, and that's after weeks of random chat sessions. He finally worked up the courage to ask if I wanted to see a movie, Harry Potter match. During the date, he didn't say anything, but I noticed him very fidgety, so I decided to hold his hand. After the movie, we were sitting his car in silence and he was fidgety again. So I grabbed his face and kissed his cheek. He turned completely red but was grinning ear to ear. In person, he had trouble stringing sentences together, but online we would chat for hours. He had to express his love via email and cuddling without saying a word. We first met over 14 years ago. Bought a house together and getting married in October. Going to Disney and Universal for our honeymoon, celebrate Halloween. It's pretty much amazing. As we get older, he's gotten much more vocal, but I still do most of the talking and socializing. We do a squeeze when holding hands to mean love you. If we don't want to talk, love him to pieces. At a bar, she came up to me. Step 1. Be attractive. Introverted girl here. Hope that's okay. Met my boyfriend on Reddit. Probably will be buried. But hey, I think it's cute. We're both introverts. And as a result, it took a little while for us to actually become romantically involved, a little while being 7 years. She and I met when we were both 11. When we were put together to compete in a music competition as a duet. We're both cellists. I had a little 11-year-old crush on her straight away. And she had the same thing for me. Neither of us ever told the other about our feelings for years. Instead talking to our friends about it and then getting into other relationships and forgetting about each other for a while. Eventually, after I broke up with my girlfriend of 3 years, I asked my now so if she wanted to catch up and play some music together. We saw each other for a few weeks in a row. And then, after 7 years of on and off feelings for each other, we became a thing. And I am happier than I've ever been. Edit. Phone fingers. Was at a party at her place. There was a drinking game. We got completely wrote off. Woke up in bed with her. The rest is history. Edit. 10 years and 1 child later. We're planning to get married in Hawaii next year. Both of us work at a grocery store. I saw her and thought that she was the cutest there, but never really did anything about it. She works as a cashier and I work and produce. She would always do the reshop and I soon realized that she was doing that for a reason and started flirting with her back. We have been together 11 months now. After months of spending less than 20 minutes sober, drove myself to a hospital for detox. Finally got up to the unit at about 1:00 AM, where I proceeded to be given a bunch of drugs to help me sleep and reduce the chances of a seizure. Woke up the next day for breakfast in my scrubs, highly confused, and there she was. She had been in detox a full day before me, and this one allowed you to bring your own clothes and tea, so she was dressed in her sweats. For some odd ass reason she saw me, barely aware, unshowered for 2-3 months, and thought he looks hot. Proceeded to spend the next 7 days in a locked unit only talking. After which we both went to our separate treatments. Detox was combined detox and counseling that specialized in getting people into treatment directly from the hospital. Only contact we had from then on was about 20 minutes total of phone time, but we wrote letters to each other every day. It's been almost 9 months now, and we had very dark parts of our relationship where we both relapsed, but now we are both over 3 months sober. Focus on our individual recovery first. I couldn't be happier. I finally found my best friend who loves me for who I am and has helped me grow in so many areas. I know nobody is going to really read this, but I want someone to see it, so thank you to whoever does. We're both introverts, but I definitely can force myself to be bold. There was a waitress at a restaurant he came into. He asked to borrow my pen. I told him, only if you write down your number. Sometimes introvert guys need a girl who is not afraid to make the first move. We've been together almost 14 years now. At work, she's very persistent and finally convinced me to go see a movie together. It's a good place for introverts. Really. It's dark. You can only see your so and the person sitting next to you. Accidental popcorn grab, hand touch here and there. I met the girl on the internet. Let's call Get M. She was outgoing, social, very extroverted, and maybe a tad crazy. She came to visit me, about 7 hours drive away, and I awkwardly tried not to make an ass of myself. While visiting, she said, "Hey, a friend of mine from high school is on a co-op intern in city very nearby. We should go meet up with her for an afternoon. Let's call that friend K." K was nerdy, awkward, introverted, and I completely re-evaluated what I wanted in a partner within the first 5 minutes of meeting her. K and I both slowly lost contact with M. And to this day we aren't sure if she knows that we became a couple a few years later, or that we got married. Someday, we're going to run into her and it's going to be really funny. Met her at a forced social interaction. I told a joke. She laughed. We swapped contact details. Met up again a week later. And thanks to being really nervous, double quote, misrepresented myself with about an hour of solid zing. Still together nearly 9 years later. At a party, I had just come down off a keg stand and went into the other room, and she was sitting in there drawing. Started talking about whatever. That was like 2 years ago. Being an introvert isn't some crippling illness. You can still do things. People put way too much stock in writing their lives away trying to fit into some assumed introvert-extrovert lifestyle. Went on a night out in Chester. Was originally not gonna go because I'm not a fan of drinking, but my best friend managed to convince me to go out. There were 6 of us, 2 couples, me and another girl. I'm really shy and find it difficult to talk to girls, so for the first few hours I didn't say a word to her. Then we moved to the next bar over. After about an hour in this bar, my best friend's girlfriend ran up the stairs and whispers something into his ear. He comes up to me and his exact words, "Listen, Mike. All you have to do is talk to her. I'm not asking you to do rocket science, just freaking talk to her." So I did, and it started off small, like "How are you, where do you work?" and it ended with me losing my virginity that night. Still together after 2 months. Komish tea story, but oh well, thought I'd share.